Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Crick House. We are so glad to have you with us. Listen, you've joined us at a very interesting style of podcast today. I know I say that every time, but this one does really, I want to use another phrase than take the biscuit, but it's the only one that can fit in my head. Take the biscuit, in as much as we are recording it on my bedroom floor. The reason for that is, our bedroom floor. The reason for that is that the lounge is taken. Because Ariel is running a live dance class, and Mum's not with us today either, so we actually just have a podcast completely for the guys.
And it's a guy sort of subject in the way.
Buckle your seatbelt, because here we go. It's just guys. It's going to be fun. We're on our bedroom floor. Oscar's curled up on the carpet over there with a microphone in front of him. My microphone is sitting atop. If you've ever seen one of those arcade games where you use the claw and you put a coin in and you try and rescue sweets, Eli has a mini one of those, and that is currently what my microphone is sitting on whilst I'm kneeling on the floor, and Dad is on a kitchen stool with his microphone atop our dresser drawers with all our clothes in it. And his feet up on a dehumidifier. So that's how raw and real it is today.
Well,
but hey ho, here we are. So what are we talking about today, Dad?
We're talking about Big Yellow again today and how Big Yellow started to grow.
Absolutely. So to jump back into our series that we were doing a couple weeks ago now, we started telling you about how the bus had arrived all the way from New York State, and it arrived in the UK. And when it came over, the people at the yard were saying how they couldn't believe how bright and shiny it was. It looked like it'd literally been buffed or polished on the way over on the boat. And that's kind of where we got to. We were telling you about that. And then I think we touched on beginning to start to build the bus. But it's not a subject we talked on for a couple of weeks. And we can't really start the story about the bus until we tell you what our intention was for it originally, and all the work that went into getting it ready with all the amazing people that we worked with. So, Oscar and Dad, the bus arrives at Jim's yard. And before I start talking about that, cliffhanger everybody, Oscar's word for today for his song is mini, as in the Great
car.
British Mini. So there we go. Now that's sorted.
The mini car.
The mini car. Now Oscar is preparing away on his song about minis. We'll jump into our subject. So the bus arrives at Jim's yard. It comes as a genuine American school bus. Seats, signs that flash and pop out the sides of the bus and all. It was, in fact, so stereotypical of a American school bus. We even found nickels and dimes in the bus.
And chewing
gum.
Chewing gum under all the seats. So
let's just let's dive in. Okay, now, in our podcast here, in the book we've got here, our page says, well, it's all happening here. The build is going really well, and Big Yellow is taking shape. And we've almost finished putting in all the new seats. All the sides of the bus inside are now panelled and being painted and sanded. But that short paragraph, it took a long time to get to that.
Certainly did. 2 minutes to write, 2 days to do.
We actually turned up in overalls, expecting the bus to get really dirty and filthy as we were dealing with it.
Yeah.
And it was probably the hottest day of the year.
It was the hottest day of the year, officially.
So if you can imagine outside, it's probably about 25. 26 maybe.
On that day, the temperatures, because it was the hottest day of the year, apparently they reached 30 Celsius.
Well, that would explain it.
Yes,
it?
and
inside the bus.
Yeah, inside the bus, inside a metal tin can, where the sides are made of glass.
And you have angle grinders going away.
Angle grinders, a generator. You're in your overalls. You're wearing masks. Not because of COVID. This was pre-COVID. This was just because of, you're doing what you're doing. And it was hot. And we were wearing proper workman gloves, weren't we? The ones that kind of protected us should we chop our finger off with an angle grinder.
So it's probably safe to say we hit 36 inside the bus, if not hotter.
I would say by the amount of
we were
water
absolutely melting.
that was running off my face. It was probably...
we were so melting.
was hot.
It was unbelievable.
It was very, very
Anyway,
hot.
so it wasn't just us. Us as a family, we were there, but we also had Josh was helping us, wasn't he? Josh.
Yeah,
and
we
Dwayne.
had Josh, Dwayne,
and we had another chap called Matt. Bless him.
Michael.
Yeah,
Michael was there.
Trying to remember.
Was there
There's
anyone
quite a few
else?
of us there.
There was quite a few of
That's
us.
pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I
much.
think,
it.
yeah.
Was Loxley there?
Jamie and the children. were
Loxley
there.
came and prayed over it when it
Yes,
arrived
that's
with
right,
us.
he did,
Loxley and
he
his
did.
wife Paulette
Loxley and
came
Paulette,
and
that's
came and
right.
prayed over it with us. And then the guys at the yard, Jim, and the other guy's names was escaped me, but Jim was a great help as well, wasn't he? Lending us tools and
Oh,
materials.
absolutely.
I think we've mentioned them before on here, but if you want to have a look at some really crazy cool vehicles, Shred and Butter, Butta, is the company name. They're actually featured on Discovery Plus a little while ago.
Shred and butter. There's a shout out for you, Jim.
Yeah, but they helped us with the bus. They helped us get it all over here, and they helped us build it. Great people. So if you're into vehicle conversions or anything of that sort, they're an amazing site to go to and have a look at because they do some really crazy, wacky stuff.
So,
but yeah, back to our story
back to our
with the
story
bus.
of the bus. We started off the day by angle grinding and literally cutting out all the seats in the bus and all the seat belts, just the whole works, and stripping it right back to the bare bones, where we discovered an absolute plethora of chewing gum
Yeah,
and pens and dimes and
it's
nickels.
strawberry flavoured too.
How long did it take you to finish it?
I'm kidding.
disgusting.
Kidding everybody.
Disgusting.
Yeah, the funny thing about this was we pull out all these seats and we're angle grinding them out and trying to get all these because all the bolts had rusted over. We couldn't undo the seat. They'd all like completely frozen and jammed together. So we had to angle grind everything off. Which was great. And then once we'd angle grinded everything off, we found these wonderful things called diesel heaters. And I remember the day that Dad had to try and get that thing out. Do you remember it? The diesel heater with the loop back pipe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Remember that.
yes. That was fun to remove, wasn't it?
Well, that was a bit of a pickle, but fortunately we had someone else on the same site as us at the time who came to our rescue with some plumbing that we needed in order to detach everything and finish the job. It did cause a bit of a delay to start with.
We had a bit of a flood.
And Noah and I, it was sort of the blind leading the blind to some extent, because neither of us knew what we were doing.
Nope.
So 2 novices, a big American bus, power tools,
Oh, yeah.
power trip, and a lot of heat.
Yeah, we were armed with power tools on YouTube, I think was the thing there. And our mission with the bus initially, its original purpose, wasn't it, was to turn this thing into a vehicle that could carry some team, had a few amenities on it, and could carry equipment. Because as we talked about in a couple of episodes ago, and if you haven't heard about this, jump back. I think the episode's called The Bus Journey or something to that effect.
Something like that.
Yeah. The original purpose was to use it to take into schools to do anti-bullying workshops using the performing arts, because obviously we do performing arts. So we were going to put a few seats in, hopefully maybe about a team of 10. We were going to put a little kitchen in, maybe a couple of beds so that people could rest in between doing workshops and things like that, in a bathroom, and then a space at the back for the equipment. So that's what we were working towards, which is why we pulled out all the seats to make room for all of this, because we were going to replace them with nice new coach seats and all of this. And little did we know what its purpose would be only a year later when COVID hit. But that is further down the storyline, so keep listening for that one. But that's what we were working towards, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the bus was stripped. We were given lots and lots of pallets, and we decided that what we would do is cut up all the pallets, get the pallet wood, and then run pallet strips all around the sides of the bus, and stick all that in and lay the floor. We didn't know that we were supposed to insulate first. So there were lots of things we didn't know, and we weren't told. And we were literally going from different website to website trying to get ideas and figure out the best way of going forward. But if you can imagine, on this stonking hot day, you had Matt outside with a saw trying to cut through pallets to give us pallet wood. People inside with grip fill.
Oh my word, grip film.
Oh, I know that stuff. It gets up your fingernails, and that's it.
Yes, grip fill. We told you this was going to be a guys podcast. Grip fill is a smell that we will never forget because it is the smell of
It's a man's
COVID for
You'll
us,
smell
isn't it?
now.
Yeah, it's a
And we'll put some context in that in the coming weeks when we tell you about our time in the bus during COVID. But yeah, grip fill has a special place in all the
Grip fill and
men's
sawdust.
hearts in this family.
grip fill and sawdust.
Yes, and sawdust. We'll get to that in a minute, won't we? But no, we had an amazing team helping us build this bus. You know, they all rallied round us
So
and all really grabbed onto the vision of what the bus was for and its mission. Yeah, they all just got straight in there, hands and knees, grime the works. This thing was coated in like 8 years of school dirt, wasn't it?
It
Everyone
was.
had black fingertips by the time they came out.
absolutely, but we ripped everything out. We put down I think it's like a 12 mil plywood base.
That's right, yeah.
Then we had the pallet wood all going around the sides. So we had what looked like a really cool bus.
Yeah, we did.
Minus insulation, which we didn't know about. And then it was ready in some respects because we were blessed with a caravan company called Truma,
That's right, yes.
who very kindly donated or sponsored us with a large solar panel, which they took the bus, fitted the solar panel on the roof, had it coming down into the vehicle to charge the batteries and anything else that we might want it to charge. They also helped us with an amazing hot water system, which is still on the bus. And to be honest, brilliant piece of kit.
Yeah.
And we're immensely grateful for that.
Yeah, we are. You know, we had so much favour with the bus, especially when it first arrived in the UK. You know, we would pray for things, and Mum is an absolute wizard. Maybe wizard is not the best word. An absolute genius at finding grants and favour with companies. She's just like an amazing bid writer, I guess you could say, and we just had so much favour. We got sponsored for decals for the windows. We got sponsored with free wallpaper from a specialist wallpaper company. We got sponsored by
Why do we
Ren
need wallpaper in a bus?
because we built walls.
We built walls.
We
didn't
built walls.
As well.
Again, another conversation. But this is all going to come out. But
walls going
yeah.
down the bus to make it look like a train carriage.
That's right.
So
That's
people
right.
could sleep sideways.
That's right. And then we got sponsored by Wren Kitchens, who put a kitchen in. Even filmed Oscar doing some cooking videos.
We did. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And then we got, what else did we get sponsored with? There was something else.
Well, Truma are the ones that gave us.
Truma, yes, Truma.
They gave us half the heating. We had to pay for the other half, and the solar panels.
And
But
the
there's also
solar
another
panel.
company, caravan company called Myriad.
That's right, Myriad, yes.
And they gave us some camping tables and some really big pucker camping
chairs, yeah, we've still got those.
So we had, we have, haven't we?
Yeah.
So
We were sitting on them the other day. But yeah, no, we there was so much favour. You know, God's hand was really all over the project. Yeah, so we built the floor, we put the walls in, took out all the chairs, and then it was time for its first journey since it'd come off the boat, wasn't it?
Oh, do you know what?
Do you remember it?
It sounds really trivial saying we just brought the bus back home, but for us, taking the bus off of Jim's yard, never having actually driven it yet,
Mm-hmm.
and although I was perfectly licensed to do so, driving an American school bus isn't necessarily something you do every day. So I had to drive it off Jim's yard, which was a bit bumpy, out in the rural area of Surrey, and then hit the country lanes on a
Yeah.
left-hand drive bus, which was wider than the lane in some places, until we eventually got onto the
Whatever it was.
M25. M25, M40, M42.
And the looks on people's faces when they see this American school bus driving down the motorway with a family of 6 in it and 2 dogs.
We got some strange looks.
We got some very strange looks. Well, I guess we got maybe we got 20% strange looks, and then 80% awe and wonder, as people would be driving down the M25, and the driver's window, out of the driver's window
Would appear.
of the car in front of us, would appear a hand with a phone on selfie mode. Why? They were filming the bus driving. So if you are that driver, don't use your phone and drive at the same time, please. But no, we had so many people taking photos of us. I think there was a petrol station we stopped at, and the police happened to be at the same petrol station, didn't they? And he got out of his cop car and he wanted to come over and take a photo with the bus. Or you had it happen to you. So what was the story?
Yeah, it's actually, to be fair, it's actually a different time. But the story itself, nevertheless, was quite amusing because we pulled up, and it was just coming out of COVID, and we'd literally pulled up in his garage to find fuel. Police officers pulled up in their car, and you can't help but sweat sometimes when you see a police officer. I know you shouldn't, but especially when they start walking over towards the bus with that sort of determined look on their face, and we're thinking, what haven't we done? What light's out? What have I accidentally bumped into and not even realised? And in the end, he came up and he looked at the bonnet and he went, "What a cool bus! Can I take a selfie?" And climbed up on the mirrors onto the bonnet and took a photo of himself.
So, yeah, it gets some attention. But all that to say, this is where the bus journey began for our family. The bus arrived in 2019, and if you know us and more have been around us in the last couple of years, you'll know that as a family, during the lockdowns of COVID, because of so many different circumstances that we'll get into in a future podcast, we actually ended up living in this thing, which is like the main plot line, isn't it? We ended up in it for about a year and a bit during COVID. So we will get deeper into that in the coming weeks, because it is quite the story.
It is.
But we drove it back for the first time, didn't we? And I know for everyone in the family, it felt like a real homecoming for the bus.
That's amazing, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because this is something that everybody had worked to for so long. We'd done a fundraiser to try and raise, I think it was £10,000 to buy the bus, and people just gave hand over fist. People really, really did just love it. God gave us a vision for it. We obeyed, we ran with it, and God provided through some amazing partners, some amazing people who just sewed into it, and helped do incredible things. So all that to say, if God's given you a vision and He's given you a dream, don't shelve it, chase it down, and things will happen. It seemed crazy for our charity, our ministry, to try and buy something that cost £10,000. That was something that would have made us fall off our chairs. It was a big ask, but God had given a vision for it, and a fundraiser was done, and He provided. So if you've got a dream, if you've got a vision, and you know it's from God, and you're chasing that down, we would encourage you to chase that vision down, and go after it and chase that dream, because God will provide. He is passionate about what He gives you to do.
That's absolutely right. And even today, Jay and I were talking to somebody, and we were looking at what we do as a ministry and our vision, and how we are going back to what our vision has always originally been, and how we can see that we've just slightly got off course and things have gone just slightly different, and we've had to go back and find where that vision was written down. In fact, we were actually saying to the gentleman this morning that the vision itself, we'd drawn it out.
Mm-hmm,
we had it hanging off the back of a door, this huge picture with a whole vision of what we believed for Manor Theatre Company.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that this morning and looking and thinking, so that's where we've missed it, or that's where we've gone wrong, or that's where we need to turn back to.
And I think that on the subject of vision, that helps with the script. Write down the vision and make it plain, so that those who see it can run with it. So in two veins, going off what Dad said, remember to always keep that vision right in front of your eyes as well. And be absolutely 100% certain on what it is, and know it like your own name. But also keep it in front of you. Keep that vision before your eyes. There's something so powerful about being able to look at something. If you've ever heard of the term of dream boards or vision books, people will often say to you, think of your goals and then print out a picture that represents your goal, or write your goals down and put it on your wall, put it on your fridge, put it on your bathroom mirror. Anything that you want to become a part of you, or anything that you want to become ingrained into the way you think or the way you do things, people will often tell you to put it somewhere where you constantly see it. Like I know there was a testimony in a church that we went to many, many years ago. A friend of ours wanted to go to cooking school. I'm just remembering the story now. Wanted to go to cooking school, and she needed the money to go there or something like that. But what she did was she got a picture of a chef or something in that context. I can't remember the specific details. But she put it as her phone's wallpaper so that whenever she unlocked her phone, she could see this vision of what she believed God was calling her to do and what she believed that she was going to do. And it turns out, basically, to cut a long story short, that this picture was her wallpaper. And within like several weeks or a couple of months, all the money had been provided for her to go to cooking school, and she had enrolled and was fulfilling her dreams. So it's so powerful to put these things in front of you. Something for me that personally happened in my life with regards to putting a vision in front of you was God actually said to me one day, Noah, I want you to print out a picture of the camera you want, and I want to put it on your wall next to your bed. And I was like, okay. So I went and found a picture of a £2,000 camera, all kitted out, probably about £3,500. And I printed the picture out and I put it next to my bed so that I could keep it before my eyes. So I'd see every morning when I went to bed and every night before I went to bed. And I put it on my wall. The next day, I got offered a job with advanced payment to buy that exact camera. And I was given £3,500 to go and buy all the equipment and that camera, which is just amazing. And sometimes it doesn't happen that quick. Sometimes it does. But the point was the vision was before my eyes, and it was there. And I know that Mum and Dad have done that with the Manor and having it printed out as a picture in front of them so they can see that too. And so, yeah, that was Dad's point. Back to the other point,
Well,
which was, you got something?
Yeah, just let me, the scripture that we were looking for, most of you will know this, but it's Habakkuk 2:2. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets that he may run who reads it.
Yes.
It's such a pivotal thing to your faith when you can see what you're believing for and it constantly feeds you all the time.
Yeah.
Because it is true. When you don't have it written down, your focus isn't on it anymore, and you can lose your focus and you lose your vision. You get sidetracked, and it can so easily happen when you haven't got it there written down and people start to talk to you about other things.
Yeah.
The most well-meaning people in the world, and you can start to get off track a little bit.
You may not completely lose the vision itself, but make sure it's in front of you so that even little changes can take you a long way off your vision. It's like I've had many pastors who are also pilots say, if you just turn 1 degree north, over the course of 10,000 miles or however far it is, you end up in a completely different country than what you're aiming for. Right. So always have that vision in front of you and always be praying into it, and just seeking the Lord on the direction for the season that you're in. Yeah. It might have been Kenneth as well. But
he was talking about the rocket going up.
Yeah, the rocket going up as well. Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, because on the rockets that went to the moon, they were course correcting every 2 or 3 minutes, weren't they?
All the way to the moon.
All the way to the moon, all the way from Earth, all the way to the moon. They were course correcting every 2 or 3 minutes, just by little degrees, left, right, this, that, just to make sure they stayed on target for the moon. Because if they deviated, even for a little while, they would have ended up somewhere else in space. And there's no service stations in space if you run out of petrol, right? So all that to say, if you know your vision, write it down, make it clear. Draw it out on a piece of paper, draw it out on your iPad, write it on a Word document, whatever you have to do. Go and find photos online and create yourself a vision board. If you've ever made a mood board for like designing a brand or a home or something like that, it's exactly that. Just find pictures that represent your vision and print them out and put them somewhere prominent. Put them in several places prominent. Attach a scripture to it. Do something with it, and then go and look at it every day and pray over it. And also, whilst you're working out that vision, take it back to prayer times with the Lord, and then just keep checking it with Him. Am I on the right track? Am I doing the right thing?
That's right.
And just keep surrendering it to Him. I think there's a danger when we have a vision from God. At first it can be absolutely, God's all in it and everything, but you begin to get comfortable in that vision too, and suddenly you're making decisions on your own, or you're doing things with your own understanding or from your own experience. But the Bible says to acknowledge the Lord in all your ways. So don't let that happen as well. Keep bringing it back to the Lord and keep going, hey, am I making the right decision? I know I'm 7 years in and I've been doing this in my sleep, but am I making the right decision? It was Moses who God told, Oscar, help me out. It was Moses who God told to strike the rock didn't
Yes,
he?
that's
And
right.
water came out. And then the next time he commanded him to speak to the rock. Is that correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
He struck it instead.
But he struck it instead,
So you
right?
think
And water did
Moses-
come out.
By the grace of God, it
By the grace of
Yeah,
God, it came out.
literally.
But he suffered the consequences, didn't
He
he?
did. He did.
You
Didn't
know,
enter into the promised land.
he
did he?
couldn't enter into the promised land. You know, so even if you have done something one way before, always take it back to the Father and just say, hey, is this the right way to do it this time? It might still be, but also it might not be.
Proverbs 3:6.
Proverbs 3:6. Are you going to read it?
In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we've all learnt the hard way.
Yes, we have.
Okay, you must acknowledge God in everything you do. You can never assume
No, you
that
can't.
you've got it right. Because when you assume you've got it right, invariably,
You get it wrong.
you've got it wrong.
And I got it really wrong in December of last year.
We all have.
Do you remember
No,
what happened?
no.
Back to cameras. I needed to change cameras. And I'd been studying and researching, and I found this one camera and I thought, right, I'm going to sell the camera I currently got so I can trade off to buy this current camera. And it all made perfect sense. I found the last camera in the country because there was a backlog on order and all sorts of things, and I ordered it. And I went against the peace of God in my heart, the peace in your heart. And
I remember now.
yes, I remember fondly. I went against the peace in my heart. I didn't really pray about it, and I just ordered it. And I went, oh no, okay. And I just had such a dis-peace. So I tried to cancel it, and the company said, no, you can't cancel it yet. You got to wait for it to come. You got to send it back. And anyway, it turns out I ended up in a 4.5 month almost legal battle with this company trying to get my money back for an item that I'd never opened and didn't even want to receive. And it went to it almost went to trading standards, and it went to chargeback claims with MasterCard and all crazy kind of things. And there was nothing wrong with the camera, you know, but it was just like that wasn't the right thing at that time to do. And God knew also that the company was a little bit shady as well, which is why I ended up in such a big trouble with being scammed. And it turns out actually since then, God led me to a completely different camera, which works for my needs so much better. And I, just praise the Lord that happened. But all that to say, acknowledge the Lord in all your ways. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you've got, acknowledge him in everything.
It doesn't matter how mature you are as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an easy pitfall to fall into. It
Yes.
really is.
It really is.
Never assume.
I'm trying to think how we got over here from the bus. I think we were talking about favour and people supporting the vision and how we had a clear vision for it, and partners helped us raise £10,000.
That's absolutely
I think
right.
that's right, yeah.
Mhm.
But where do we press on from there? Let's talk about favour.
Well, we brought the bus home.
We
didn't
brought the bus home.
Here's favour for you. We brought the bus home.
Yes.
We pulled up outside our house. And of course, all the way I was thinking to
we'll
myself,
get it on the drive, won't
yes,
we?
yeah, we'll get it on the drive. But you have to remember that the overhang at the back of the bus,
Is huge.
behind the rear wheels, is very long. So as the bus started to go up the drive, the front of the bus was starting to go into the tarmac.
That's
And
right.
we thought, oh, this isn't going to work.
And there was a big white scratch on the tarmac all the days we lived there.
It was. So for the next 2 days, you had this a huge American school bus parked outside this house on a tiny little cottage lane.
That's right.
A
single track lane.
And a chap used to drive past every day. Do you remember this?
I do.
I think the bus might have been there longer than 2 days, actually.
I
But
think,
every
yeah, it was
morning
like
he
4 or
went
5.
past,
But
and he was so irritated by the fact that we had our bus parked outside. It beep, 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 beep. And
Yeah.
he went flying past in the morning.
yeah, on the way to work and then on the way back
Yeah,
from
and
work.
On the way back. And
And it wasn't just like a little beep beep. He made sure we heard it. He'd slow down and he'd honk his horn repeatedly, making his opinion of it very clear.
so we discovered on that day that not everybody likes big American school buses.
Clearly.
But the favour of God was that directly opposite us on the same lane was a chap called Vince.
Vince, that's
Vince,
the
remember
one.
Vince, yep.
Yep.
And Vince had a lovely little bungalow, but next to it, this huge space of land, which was
Yeah.
behind all these trees and everything else. We weren't quite sure what was available. But he said, you can park it here. So we had the bus in a beautiful workspace
Yes.
directly opposite the house, out of
Yes.
everyone's way.
He even let us put a caravan there too.
He did, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
But that was favour.
Because we couldn't get that on the drive either.
Because Vince was a bit of a character.
In a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, he was a character. But, he blessed us by allowing us to have that space.
Yeah,
That
he
was
did.
brilliant.
Yeah, it was amazing. And that's favour as well, because we brought it back to where God had told us to move. If you've listened to the podcast about, I think it's called Moving North, God had told us to move to the Midlands, and it was somewhere Dad had sworn all his life he'd never go north of London.
Well, anything above London to me was north, because I was right from
go back
on the south coast.
Go back and listen to that podcast. It's called Moving North. But that is a funny story.
Here I am.
But we bought this bus, and God had moved us here, and we couldn't get on the driveway, but God knew that we would be able to use the yard directly opposite our house. So no longer did we have to drive 2.5 hours to Surrey and go and camp in our caravan, and then drive the 40 minutes to the yard to go and work on it, and then try and take showers in this tiny caravan shower after working in 36 Celsius, and then sleeping in the same hot caravan in the same hot weather. It was actually put, 10 yards?
10 yards.
10 yards from our front door.
10 metres.
10 metres, whatever. It was just right there, and we could go there and work on it. And it was a real blessing, because we were able to get a lot of work done on it, weren't we? And also, the best part about it was 20 minutes away was one of the biggest B&Qs in Birmingham. So that helped too.
Actually, that came in very handy.
Yeah, we became B&Q's best customers for a little weeks, didn't we? But no, it was good. So
all that being
wrapping
said,
up the bus build, though.
Oh, wrapping
because
up the bus
because
build,
we need to set up the next episode.
We missed out on the electrics, the water systems, all these different systems we needed to put in place.
That's right. We got sponsored for the electrics as well, didn't we? We got a huge reduction.
Yeah, we did get a big
favour-wise.
We didn't get the
money-wise, rather.
We didn't get them done.
No, we didn't get them done, but we got them on a huge reduction.
They were all
praise the
there.
Lord.
Still there in the back.
Yeah. Well, not all of them. Not all of them. I became a bit of an electrician.
You did, didn't you?
Yes.
I have to say,
there's a funny
Noah
story with this.
Noah actually did.
There's
really
a funny
well,
story
really
with
well.
this. Last funny story, I promise. We had all the electrics out in the bag, and we put them all out on the floor. We had another gentleman helping us, and basically what we'd done is we'd fitted everything. We'd put plugs in, we'd put all the wiring round, done it all nice and neat, and then we came to the final RCD unit. And if there's any electricians listening, I don't know the specific words for them, but you'll know what I'm talking about. You've got all the RCDs, and then underneath them is like this metal bridge that goes into the bottom of each RCD.
Oh, that's right.
And looking back on hindsight, what you realise is that each RCD needs to be able to pass power through, or something like that. And what this metal bridge does was it conducted the electricity through to each one. And earlier on, when we were fitting all the electrics, we picked it up and went, "Oh, what's this? We don't need that, do we?"
Threw it away.
So we threw it away, and we put it in this bin bag, and praise the Lord, we kept this bin bag in the bus. And we pulled up to the campsite that night, because this was the start of us having to live in the bus. We pulled up to the campsite, we got out, really proud of ourselves. We fitted all this electrics, and we were going to go and plug it in. We pulled up to the dark campsite, plugged it into the box outside, plugged it into the side of the bus, tapped on the window, power on. No. From inside, and we went and wiggled it and flipped switches. Power on? No. So we're all sitting there on this campsite, which we've never been to before,
waiting patiently.
having to leave our house, which we'll talk about in more detail in a later episode, because so that was hard enough already, and then we have no electric at all. And suddenly we go in and we've got torches out, and we're looking at everything, checking wiring, all sorts of things. And then we go up to the RCD unit, and we're flipping switches and pressing buttons and trying to do everything. And we got our phone torches on, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to see.
We're looking back on YouTube, weren't we?
Yeah, we're looking back on YouTube. And then suddenly we saw a picture of this metal bridge in the RCD unit, and we went, "Oh,
where is it?"
And we went back to the the bin bag where we'd thrown it away. And we picked it up, and there was a big chip on the plastic on the corner of it. And we're like, "Oh no, it's broken." And we put it in, and lo and behold, turned everything on, and ta-da. All the electrics work.
It works.
So from then on, throughout all of COVID, if we ever had to move that RCD unit, I'd always make sure we had the metal bridge. And I'd even found them online just in case we ever lost it again.
And just a thought, just something to close this podcast with regards to talking about the bus. For those of you that camp or have caravans or anything else, you'll be familiar with camping toilets. All I can say to you is, when you drive off, make sure that the toilet door is shut.
Well, most caravans have their toilets screwed to the wall, don't they?
And they have toilet doors.
We
didn't have either on this occasion.
we were mid-build, so we were going down the motorway, and Dad tapped the brakes and watched her come flying down the centre aisle all the way down the bus, but a half-full camping loo, and it slid all the way down the centre aisle,
And
almost
everybody was
right
in
up to
their
the cab.
seatbelts.
Everyone was in their seatbelts.
Half watching, half facing the other way.
Yes.
And had visions of this chemical toilet, flying down the
Yes,
bus.
you can only
see everyone's
imagine.
face.
You can only imagine what we were thinking. If you've ever seen a film called RV, I don't think I've seen that in years, but it was many years ago. If you've seen it, you know.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about.
And the school bus has this huge interior mirror, so I can look back into the bus, and I slam my brakes on. I could hear everyone gasping in shock, and I'm looking in my mirror, and I can see this chemical toilet sailing down the centre of the bus.
Yeah, it's a fond memory of everybody's. If you ever talk to us about the bus, you'll probably
You
hear
realise
that
that's a
story.
cliffhanger now because they're all wondering what happened.
Yeah, we'll leave them on it.
We'll leave them there, shall we?
No, the toilet landed safely. And it was fine.
Spoiled it.
Nothing went anywhere. But all that to say that the bus came to Surrey. We started building the bus. We had all that amazing support and favour. People supported the vision, for it. And then we drove it home for the first time. We experienced the attack of the toilets. We got favour being able to put it in the yard. We had so many people sponsor us.
And we've got favour now because it's parked in another yard.
It is parked in another yard.
By our good friends Sue and Keith,
Yeah, that's right.
for which we are immensely grateful.
Absolutely. And so the bus was built. It was ready to go. We did a few school workshops, didn't we? We did a few around Walsall area. The kids loved it, absolutely loved it, the kids at the schools, that is. And it started to do its job, which was amazing. But, and this will be where we'll leave it until next time, but little did we know that within just a few weeks' time, this bus would no longer become a vehicle, but it would become our home for the next 14 months. And it was not designed to be a home, which means we were building it again around us whilst living, once we'd found that bridge.
But we'll talk about that
for the RCD unit. So you will hear all about that on the next episode. But thank you for bearing with us, as us guys have just talked about hardware and power tools. If you are still with us, thank you. But we mentioned sawdust, didn't we? And we'll just point out really quickly. Having lived in the bus for 14 months, even to a year after coming out of it, we were still finding sawdust in items or clothes that had been folded away and stored,
or sleeping bags,
or socks. Yeah, we could find sawdust if you
any
wanted us
carpenters
to.
out there, you'll know that sawdust just doesn't come out.
Sawdust is man's glitter. That's what it is.
And it sticks.
But yeah, so next time we'll take you into the beginning of the bus journey, where we talk about having to literally move in to an American school bus as a family of 6.
Well, we'll make it more interesting for you.
Yeah, exactly. But before we wrap up and leave you all to having another amazing week, we have a song from Oscar about the classic British Mini. Whenever you're ready, Maestro, you can get going. You might want to get a bit closer to your mic. I know that's hard with it being on the bedroom floor.
Right, I'll put it on the ladder. No, that's not going to work.
Not going to work.
How about I hold?
I think Dad's going to have to hold
You
the mic.
cannot see
for him.
where I am right now.
Oscar is just making his way across the carpet. It is,
I'm now holding 2 mics.
as I said, it's not the most conducive recording environment
Both
today.
microphones recorded.
We can have both microphones recording you.
It's just like a recording studio now.
Well, not quite. I mean, there is blue and green mufflers on them. It looks like alien eyes staring back at me.
All right, well, when you're ready, get nice and close to the microphones.
Can it hear me?
They can hear you, but you just be a little bit closer. There we go.
Okay, just trying to read at the same
All right.
time. Okay, here we go. So it's a bit of a history of the Mini, so here we are. Back in the 20th century, when cars were all the rage, a vehicle was created, one that started a new age. An age of front-wheel driving, with a boot with so much space that you could fit your luggage, every bag in every single case. Oh, the Mini Mark 1 Minor was the first of all the rest. It started off the trend that would make this car the best. Oh, millions of production lines as decades quickly flew. As years went by and Mini sold, its popularity grew. Mini Cooper, Morris Minor, Austin 7, Austin Pot. Now many different kinds were made, but all of those have made it great. You gotta love a mini, from Birmingham to New Guinea. A mini, you'd have to be a nanny to not love a mini. Oh, a mini.
Okay, wow. That's a mini. So you'll have Mercedes
So you have to be
wanting
a
one
mini
from you
not to
next
get a
week.
Mini.
Right,
And you missed out the word
Mini.
skinny.
Skinny?
I think you need to be
Skinny mini.
to get in a mini.
I don't think I've ever seen a skinny mini though. But oh, well done. So what did we have last week? We had a platypus. Was it last week?
Platypus.
It was
No,
no.
No, it was
What void did we have last week?
We had cucumber vision.
No.
at some
Cucumber
point.
vision? No.
That was 2 months ago.
We'll have to go back and listen to our own podcast. But yeah, there you go. That's the mini song. That's the mini. Fluorescent. Fluorescent was Oscar's last one. But yeah. Anyway, there we go. There is your crazy song at the end of our podcast. So listen, thank you so much for being with us. Honestly, I know we say this every time, but it really does mean a lot to us that people listen and want to look back on our journey and everything that God has done along with us. So we really appreciate you and all our partners and friends who pray for us or sow into our family. As we know, we are full-time Christian workers and missionaries. You know, we are ever so grateful for all your love and support. It really does put a smile on our face every single day. It's just wonderful to know there's so many people out there
Absolutely.
who believe
We
in the
are so
vision
grateful.
and the mission of our family and Manor, and we're so grateful for all of you. But so from all of us here at the Crick House, Oscar's actually just left, so it's just going to be goodbye from me and Dad. It's a big goodbye, and
Goodbye from me.
it's a goodbye from me. Oh, hello, Eli. You said goodbye.
Goodbye.
There we go. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. We have so enjoyed talking with you again, and it's just a privilege to share with you. So from all of us here, it's a big goodbye, and we will see you again next week.